Somebody commented and said it almost was like you were born to podcast.
Hey, that's great.
I know. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna keep doing it.
Yep. We're gonna keep doing it.
Let's do it. Welcome to the Soul Tapes podcast.
Yes.
If you're listening for the first time, my name is Adam Cruz.
And my name is Antonio Reyes.
And Antonio brought up a really good topic that I think we can spend some time unpacking. So, Antonio, what did you want to talk about today?
Man, this is a good topic. I feel we live in a time where we relinquish and we give the opportunity and the privilege to other people to dictate our value.
Yeah.
Many times it can probably is not people. Sometimes it can be certain things, you know, it can be our career, our school, our family, our job, our projects.
Yeah.
Many of those things, sometimes we connect our value to the success or the outcome of that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I think that unfortunately, when we connect our identity and our value to those things are not sustainable. They're not consistent.
Yeah.
So according to whatever that is, it can go up and down. That's how we feel because that is connected to how we feel and the way we see life.
Yeah.
So that I wanted to talk about, where are we connecting our value to?
Yeah, that's
what is our source?
That's a really good question, man. I mean, I think when I think about this conversation, what comes to mind is that when we place our value in whether it's a job or what type of job we have or the things that we own, even the type of relationships that we're in, even, you know, sometimes we find comfort or value in the certain type of friends. Like I always hear certain people be like, oh, you know, they want to get close to certain people because they find value in that.
Yes.
And a lot of times what I think about is that these things tend to be performance based.
Yes.
Is if I perform well, then that means I'll get the job that I want. If I perform well, then that means I'll make enough money to buy the things that I want that'll bring value to my life. If I perform well in these relationships, then, you know, these people will love me and that'll bring value to my life because of the status and everything around that. So everything, when we live a life and your value comes from performance, that's all good and well when you perform well.
Yes.
But anybody who has ever had anything to do with performance, if you've, you know, been a speaker or an artist or anything like that, you have some bad performances.
Yes.
We can relate to going on stage and bombing. And the problem is that when you live your life on the spectrum of everything is surrounded by the value that I have is based on how well I perform. I don't know, man. That sounds like a risky foundation to live on.
Yeah, even when we connect our value into expectations.
Yeah.
You know, if there's certain expectations that have been displayed over us, and we never measure up to those things, maybe that can affect us a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I think we live in a society here in the United States specifically where you need to have certain things. You need to have a house, a car. You need to have a career. You need to have a certain amount of kids. You need to have a certain amount of money in the bank.
Yeah.
So that your life can perhaps can be valuable, right?
Yeah.
So when we don't achieve those things at a certain age, we find ourselves in this place where we feel defeated, you know, and we start doubting who we are and doubting to the core of who we are. You know?
And, you know, and the thing is, the problem with this, with that mentality and that way of living is that I'm thinking of it as a creative and as an entrepreneur, is that if you allow others to dictate your value, you're more than likely always going to be undervalued. Yes. And the thing is, when you are a creative or an entrepreneur or someone who is trying to accomplish things that maybe other people aren't willing to do,
Yes.
is if you don't value yourself or the art that you're creating or the products that you're creating or whatever it might be, if you don't hold a high value to those things, how could you expect other people to do that?
Yep.
And so you have to always come to a perspective of being able to not rely on other people's opinions and thoughts that might because the thing is, people don't always see what you see. People don't always understand why you do certain things, why you are the way that you are, and because of those reasons, they may not have an appropriate way of valuing you. And so that's why when we understand more about ourselves, I think that is when we can also, and we understand more about ourselves and understand more about who God is, then that is when we can find an appropriate way of knowing what our value is.
Yes, and let me talk about as a consumer.
Yeah.
We have the power to add values or to diminish the value of that person, correct?
Yep.
Because many times what we end up doing, and this is, I think, the mistake that I learned maybe in the past years, as I talk to my wife, she creates a lot, and many times you find people connected to us or close to her, even people that I know that have small businesses that are close to them, they always expect for them to give away things, to give a cheaper or a discount to that person, right? So I believe that instead of actually asking those things, if I'm close to you and say, hey, you know what, Adam, I love your hat, man. And you're selling it for $25. I don't want to ask you to reduce or give me a discount.
Yeah.
No, because I value what you do and what you create. I want to actually pay for that and add value to you because I believe in who you are and I believe in what you create, right? So many times what we end up doing is that we diminish the content and the creation of someone, right? Because for whatever reason, it cannot be, probably it's not the intention to diminish someone's
everyone's always
creation.
looking for a discount.
Right,
Everyone's
course.
always looking for a deal.
But what if we actually change that mindset? And if we have in proximity people that are creating, people that have businesses, people that own anything, what would that look like if I actually add value and pay for it and support you fully for what you're creating?
Well, I think that's why it also, as a consumer, we have to understand that when we're using our money or time or talents, that we are oftentimes investing into what we believe in.
Yes.
So that's why I think, honestly, that's probably, if I had to say, one of the things that I do love about the world that we're living in today is I think that people are now becoming more conscious of what they are investing their time, their money, and their skills and abilities into.
Yes.
I think that now, because this is a way I'll give you a great example. I consume music, and I have always been the type of person that I have respected someone's music as an artist when I get to know that artist as a person, who they are, what they like, what they're about, what they value.
Yes.
And what I've seen a lot today is that there are artists nowadays, especially in the hip hop world, that when their character is now in question, a lot of people say, how can I support that artist who I don't actually agree with the type of life that they live with? So we now are in a place where when we are investing into something or someone, what we're saying is it's almost becoming like a cosign to who they are, which can be also dangerous and difficult because as humans, we're going to fail, right? But when we're talking about investing with our friends, when we're talking about being able to add value or at least acknowledge that there is value in what they are selling or who they are.
No. And I think that's such an important, as a consumer, that we can actually be conscious of those things. Now, going back to the piece of where we relinquish or who to actually dictates our value, we live in a time where obviously many times we connect our value to our social media, right? To our platforms, that if we don't get enough from that, We feel like we're not valued, we're not seen, we're not known.
Yeah.
We are not known by people. So I think that that's a very dangerous place to be, right? Because if we don't get what we want from them, from the social media avenue,
Yeah.
our feelings of how we feel and how we see ourselves can go up and down according to
Yeah.
the social
How
media.
many likes did you
Yep.
get? Have you watched The Social Dilemma?
Yes, an incredible
Dude.
documentary.
That wrecked me.
Oh man, that messed me
Made me want
up.
to delete Instagram right now.
For real. I was like, man.
Dude, the second I got on it, I was like, you know how they do like the algorithm and they're like showing you? I was like, oh, I just, I spend 5 seconds watching this NBA clip.
Yes.
So now you just showed me 3 NBA clips. Then I saw the advertise. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's exactly what they're talking about.
Bro, that's such an incredible documentary.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some diamonds in social in
Yeah.
Netflix sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that one is one of those. Because I feel like you bring people that are creating all that, like creators in
Yeah.
the most influential organizations in business right now. They are letting us know like this is the way it's working.
Well, this is why it's interesting to me because, and why we have to be, I think why this conversation to me is really great is because we have to see kind of past just like the face value of things. So social media, because it's such a big thing in our worlds today, we have to understand that if we place our value in this thing that is really in some instances being controlled, then how can we get frustrated or upset because a certain post of mine didn't get as many likes as I was hoping based on an algorithm that, is created by people to really the ultimate goal of that is for money, is to sell advertising and things like that. So we think of it as a way for us to connect with people, and that's part of it, and that is the aspect of it. But we have to understand that that this thing that we use was initially as a tool cannot be the place that we're putting all of our value into, because
yeah.
that's a fragile system.
It is. It is. Now, if we go back to like where we place our value, and then we go to our work and our projects, that also can be a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Because for some of us, we actually deliver pretty well, and we get the affirmation from our work. We are actually being successful, productive, and we're actually flourishing. That can feel pretty well.
Yeah.
But what happens when you actually invest in everything, you put in everything to who you are, but you're not getting the outcome that you're expecting.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're less, right? But that's a very tough place to be. I give you a clear example, like for me in a personal level, for quite a bit of time, working as someone who was leading a church, a community of faith, where I was investing my whole heart, my time. I would spend time in the city, I would spend time, and they would say that my office was the coffee shop that I would go to,
Yeah.
It's called Tierra Mia.
Love it.
I would spend,
Fire.
yes, I would spend time there. I would go and walk around the park to see if I can meet people. I would go and hang out with people over there intentionally, right? For 2 years. And many times I felt like I was investing so much of my time and who I was that I was not getting what I was expecting back. Mm-hmm. Did that make me less? I felt it many times.
Yeah.
That it was, that was the truth. That's not real. That's different, right? So we need to be very careful that if we place our value connected to our job and our projects, that that is going to go up and down again. Yeah. Everything is inconsistent.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, do you think or believe that our value as a person, as a human being, is actually, because a lot of things we talk about is like, oh, it's about the journey, it's not a destination.
Yeah.
Would you say that understanding your value is more so a destination, in the sense of it's unchanging versus something that we need to discover or continue to figure out. What do you think about that?
You know what? I think that's a great point. Obviously, because of our journey together, like we actually place our value in our Creator, in God. That I will say is both in a sense.
Yeah.
Both. That I'm trying to put it into words. I'm
it's
trying
okay.
to think about it.
Think about it.
But when I think about God, obviously, it's consistency, it's faithful, it's unchanging.
Yeah.
And He's not going to love us less or more because of what we perform. We're talking about the beginning, right?
Yeah,
that's not going to change. But at the same time, I feel like God is going to unfold to us as we keep moving forward with Him. Why are we so valuable? Does that make sense? Like we can hear probably from people maybe close to us.
Yeah.
We can hear for maybe our leaders, our pastors, some of us that we're close to church, that they can constantly tell us, God sees that you're valuable, you're this, you're that. And it's truth. But then I feel like as we keep moving forward in our journey, we can see why we're so valuable, because of our complexity, because of how unique we are, or because of what we offer into the table.
Yeah.
So I think as we keep moving forward in life and we keep moving in this journey with God together, He continues to unfold. Man, this is why you're so valuable.
Yeah.
This is why I love you so much.
Yeah.
This is the reason why this is not going to change.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think, as you're talking, I'm thinking that my perspective at this point is that we all are, our value is unchanging. We are, we are created and we have value. We are valuable in just the fact that, think about as an artist creating a painting, that painting is valuable to that artist because that artist, created it, and that no matter who says or selling it or not selling it, how much money it makes, it is a valuable thing. So I think that as human beings creating the fact that we can even create life, you automatically have value. But I think there's a difference between having value and actually living out like your purpose. Because I think what ends up happening and why we connect value to performance and doing something is because I think that every single one of us, if we have a purpose in life to do something, if we have a purpose in life to actually work and create and do something in life, that means when we are not living within our purpose, we are almost in a sense like not living up to the potential that we're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And so in that comes, I would say, maybe shame, or we feel like our value has lessened because we are, instead of doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing, we're wasting time in a sense, or wasting away the things that we're supposed to. So like, there's in the Bible, there's a scripture that says that God prepared in advance good work for us to do. So that means if there are things that every single one of us is supposed to be doing, when you're not doing that, you're in a sense almost like devaluing yourself. And we see that with, even if you think practically, if you go to your job and you're not doing your job, that means I need another worker because you're not valuable to me anymore. And so I think there's a difference between the purpose that we need to do in our work and who we are as in the sense of just being a value, what our value is as a person.
Yeah. That's so good, man. That's so truth. Let me ask you something. I want to hear your thoughts on, so then how do you deal with the feelings and the emotions that come to surface where we don't feel value because of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Well, because our value is connected to certain things that are not consistent. So how do you deal with that? Have you ever dealt with that?
So
if not, it's okay.
No, yeah. So I think so I think that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
So I think that honestly, I think that when we have those feelings and emotions of, man, I feel, so for example, like if I drop the ball, like let's say I'm going to help you do something, you say, hey, I need your help on something. And, I say, yo, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do it. And that day comes and I bail and I'm like, oh, you know what? And it's not even a good reason. It's not like, something serious came up. It's just, hey man, sorry, I couldn't make it. In those moments, as much as you might understand or say like, oh, it's okay, you're going to feel some type of way and be like, oh man, like, I really was banking on, like, I know what it is like when I moved apartments and I'm like, man, I like the people that I hit up and like I needed help, them showing up meant a lot, right? When someone bails on you like that, you almost feel like, oh man, that sucks, right? So I feel like when we have those moments of I let someone down or I let myself down and I feel less than, I think it's the feeling of feeling less than is not necessarily the thing that's okay. But I think when we fail or we made a mistake, we have to take that and we have a choice to make in those moments of saying, I'm going to either let this define me or I'm going to use this moment to say, I'm never doing that again. Or I say, when I know that if my word means something, because you need my help, I'm going to show up if I said yes. If I can't, then I know I need to say, hey, I can't make it. But if I say I'm going to do something or I know that I should be doing something, then I know that I have to go and do that. Because when I feel like crap or I feel like less than, because I know that I was created to do that, to help you, to do something, then I should step up and do that. And those feelings in some instances are valid because I may have messed up or dropped the ball or didn't do what I was, or wasn't where I should have been. Then I think to me, in some instances, then that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, because you're taking kind of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
You're taking responsibility for that too. Let me throw another one.
Yeah.
Do you feel that anything outside defines our value? What I mean by that is, do you think that if we accomplish or we have certain things, would that change our value?
I think certain things, they don't change our value, but they validate who we are and they validate our purpose.
Yes.
And they validate the fact of that we're doing the things that we should be doing. So, for example, I can be the greatest at my job, but if I am a terrible person to my friends and family, those two things do not add up. Or a lot of times we use our performance to justify being a terrible and crappy person. And to me, the fact that you can be who you're supposed to be to your friends and your family, and the fact that you can live in your purpose and do the work that you've been called to do, to me, the performance aspect should only validate who you are and validate the fact that you have purpose and meaning and you are a valuable creation. So to me, that's where I think it's not disregarding failure, making mistakes, but in the totality, in your average or your median of the decision that you make, those things should only validate who you are and your value.
Yeah, I think when I see, perhaps, if I accomplish anything in life, I think I see it just an extension of my character and who I am. Mm-hmm. Like if I accomplish, per se, if I'm able to accomplish my master's degree, right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm able to accomplish a project that I have, that should be just an extension of who I am and my totality and my integrity as a human being. Not all the way around. Not that is going to add value to me. I think to me it's around. Like, actually, this is just an extension. This is just something that comes out of who I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think many times, I feel like in the society that we live right now, we treat the other way around.
Opposite, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That those things are going to add to us. Not thinking that, no. It's all the way around.
Yeah.
This is an extension of who I am. that if that is removed, that's not going to change who I am. But if it's the other way around, where that adds value to me, if that is removed, then I'm going to be empty in one piece.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to change our mindset, that we need to make sure that we know who we are, and we work in ourselves in a very emotional, spiritual, mental level, that we're so complete, and we're so there's integrity just means consistency, in us, that
Yeah.
when we actually create, that is not going to shake us no more.
Yeah.
If that is removed or not, that might affect us emotionally, perhaps, but that's not going to change our perception about who we are, as a human being.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why this year has been so.
Look at this. Siri wants to jump into the
us.
conversation.
I know. She heard us mention the social dilemma and started freaking out. But I think this is exactly why this year has been probably so difficult for some people, and not everyone. But the fact that we were forced to quarantine with our closest, loved ones, and be not able to go and live our regular life, we have these moments where we're not able to get away from anything because we're forced to stay in one place. And so we have to figure out and realize that I can't go and find my value in something else.
Yes.
I can't go to that job and feel good about myself because I was able to be productive, when sometimes we think being productive is accomplishing tasks, and we separate tasks from relationships and think, oh, I don't need to actually invest in these relationships. I need to just perform and complete tasks.
Yes.
As long as I can do that, because a lot of times some people would much feel more comfortable doing that than sitting in a space when they have to do life with people, and especially those that they're the most closest with. And so I think that's where this year has been challenging, because of the fact that we're not able to separate our life in that way. So we have to realize, okay, if these are the people in my life, and this is my family, and this is the things the people that I need to do life with, then I need to know who I am, and how who I am can directly impact how I do life with those people.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think we know people, in personalities and strengths, right? Talking about the Enneagram.
Yeah.
Right? There's some people that are very driven by accomplishing things.
Yeah.
That's their personality. And I know that I have some conversation with some of them, and how hard it was for them.
Yeah.
Because obviously their affirmation doesn't come from people; it comes from them accomplishing things.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine the difficulty to change and shift that, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have the opportunity, right? You don't have the opportunity necessarily to accomplish anything right now because you're in quarantine. And that's why, going back to where you were saying, the importance of developing also a community of people, right? Of people that can help you find your value, when you can accomplish things, when you can perform well, like, what are you going to do? I do feel, and then in a personal level, in this season of my life, and I was just talking about this, one of our, we had the opportunity to be in the Seven Collective and Revive Church, talking about in young adults how to what was the conversation?
Pivot with purpose.
Yes, pivot with purpose, and how we deal with our quarantine. One of the hardest things for me was to detach and disconnect my value from what I was accomplishing. That it took months and sitting down with counseling to help me understand that God was stripping labels in my life that I actually put myself, that I just didn't know how to live outside of what I was doing. So I think that months later, I'm in a more healthy place where I can see, that I'm valued, I'm seen, I'm known by my Creator, right, in my faith. So that was a very hard thing to
Yeah, and I think,
find out.
in this conversation, one thing that I feel helps solidify my value on a daily basis is not because for those that struggle with the focusing more on being more task oriented and not being able to be as productive in this year, I think it's taking a step back into shifting in our perspective of saying, okay, I may not be able to accomplish what I was hoping to accomplish, or having certain goals and not being able to reach those goals, but then shifting our perspective on, if I can't accomplish these things that are outside, that are only based on me and completing certain tasks, then what can I do today with those that are around me? Because to be honest, I think a lot of times there are plenty of things that we can do that would be in a way for us to invest into the relationships around us, but we tend to ignore those things or put those to the side because we find more value in the other things that we would like to do on a daily basis, whether it's with work or things like that. So I think when we're able to shift our perspective and say, what's the most valuable thing we can do is spending time with our family, or having conversations, calling a friend. And when we can say, hey, this may not make me money, may not put food on the table, but you know what? I know that these moments and these little things that I can do on a daily basis not only bring value to my life, they bring value to those around me. And again, they validate who I am.
Yes, yes. And I think kind of finishing this conversation, at least in my perspective, if you're a very task-oriented person, find little things that you can actually do to feel accomplished. For me, it was working out.
Yeah.
Working out helped me a lot, going for walks. Actually going and maybe reading a book, those little tasks that might not bring money and food to the table necessarily will give me a sense of I accomplished something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So perhaps the accomplishing piece is not removed completely, but you might kind of redirect that into different little things,
Mm-hmm. You have a new to-do list.
Yeah, totally.
Created a completely different to-do list, but it's...
Yes. So I feel like my personality is not completely there, but I seen how many times, like, the fact that I had developed these little disciplines in my life have helped me when I feel down, perhaps a little depressed. Those little things make me feel like I accomplished something in the day.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because we all have those things that we need to do. Because, you can't, if you sway one way or the other too much, even if you're extremely relational, I know I can be very relational, and I can find value in that, but I can't be all relational and not get anything done, and not get my work done, not get, creative things done that I need to do. And because there has to be a balance within those. And in this year, finding that new routine, that new way of doing things has been really important.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that was it's a good conversation,
Yeah.
Be careful, be intentional where you place your value, because that can dictate many aspects of who you are internally.
Yeah.
So, at a personal level, for both of us, we display and we relinquish and we surrender our value to God, because we believe He designed us and created us, and He knows who we are.
Yeah.
Even with our mistakes and our and our inconsistencies.
Yep.
He still loves us and He cares for us. So I think that that's an important thing.
Yeah. No. 100%. Always. I love the illustration of knowing the foundation that your house is built upon, the foundation that your life is built upon. Where do you find your value? Is it something that's solid, or is it something that can be swept away by any storm that comes your way? So, definitely agree with that. Know where your value comes from, know who you are, know what your purpose is. It's all important. There's, too many things coming our way that are going to try to take us out. So I love it, man. I think it's a great conversation that, we needed to have. So thanks for bringing that up. and see you guys next time.
Yes.
Firstborn,
Ciao.
oh Lord, how the story go? Feeling the pressure from the ones that never worry. If I woke up or was standing at the edge to my destruction, I was promised by my father, never listen, they just bluffing now.